everybody. Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I have a great new guest with me today, Kathy White. She's a coach, an author, and an adventure seeker. And we get into a lot of stuff here in the podcast, and a great story to start right off. And it involves a helicopter, a cliff, and the point of no return. So hang on for that. And we're going to be talking about a book that addresses some anxiety and depression issues. So if that's somebody in your life or you personally, they're going to find some interesting comments and some thoughts from Kathy White here on the Living My Next Chapter. Here it is. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Excellent. Hello, everybody. This is Living the Next Chapter. I have a wonderful author, coach, has joined me, a thrill seeker in life. We have stories to tell. I'm when I hear some of the stories, I'm a little bit nervous. Keep you right on the edge here during the podcast. We have today Kathy White with us on Living the Next Chapter. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks so much for having me.
So what I can attest to is that in your thrill-seeking life, you have survived everything that you've ever accomplished because you're right there. I can see you. So congratulations on all of that. Well done.
Thank you.
And for everyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Kathy has a side which we've touched on in talking together, and I'd love to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
You have done some amazing fun stuff. Fun, what some people would say, frightening, other people might say. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have done in the past that have brought you joy and excitement and thrills, beyond going to the local grocery store to pick up your food every week. You've done a few things.
I have done a few things.
So welcome, first of all, and let's hear a little bit about some of these fun things you've tried your hand at.
All right. Well, I have decided I'm an adventure seeker, and I love just being outside the normal box that most people live in. And I've been skydiving twice. The third time that I was supposed to go skydiving, I was actually up in New York, and I was supposed to go skydiving there, and I tore my ACL dunking my brother in the lake.
Okay, yeah.
So they wouldn't let me go skydiving there, which is fine. But then I've been skydiving twice, and then I have free swam, not in a cage. I've free swam with sharks in Florida. And then the last real big adventure is we just hiked Crawler's Ledge in Kauai. And I am terrified of heights, so it's kind of funny to listen to me say the things I've done is because I'm terrified of heights. And Crawler's Ledge, as you know, there is a mountain here and there is the ocean here, and there's probably a foot width of a path to walk, and you have a backpack on because you're backpacking. It's not like you have a day pack on; you're backpacking. And so and that was here in April. And so, there's a pretty exciting story to go along with that one, though. Yeah.
No, okay. So I know I have time. Hopefully you have time.
Sure.
We can't just tease the story.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say, I watched a video after talking to you, in our first conversation. I watched a video to my horror, and amazement. Like I mentioned, the path was there. The path gets smaller. The path becomes non-existent, and then it comes back and goes and it's a sheer drop. Like this is not. We're not talking 3 steps and you're down to the ocean. No. So okay. So you weren't by yourself, thankfully.
No.
But things got a little crazy during your walk in the park, I would say.
What was funny though is most people thought, because I had my torn ACL, and not now. I had it 3 years ago, so I fully recovered from it. But most people thought that I was going to be the one that had an issue on the path. And my husband, who is a walking mailman here in Utah, ended up getting sick. and and when you're on this path, you have to get a permit to go on this particular trail. You have to pay for it. You have to go through a lottery and whatnot. And so it's not just like a walk in the park. Go ahead.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize we had to. Oh, wow. So not everyone can just get out of their car and go for a walk here.
No.
Okay.
People plan their entire, this was like a lifetime goal to go to this particular hike in Kauai. And so we ended up going. It was for my friend's 50th birthday party, Angie. And so actually when you read my book, you'll know who Angie is. She is the one that I do most of my adventures with. And so it was for her 50th birthday. It's what she wanted to do for the last 5 years. And so we, myself, my husband, Angie, and then we had 2 other people coming with us the following day. And because they couldn't get on the same day permit as we did. And 3 miles into it, my husband started puking. And when you're saying 3 miles onto this trail, it's a tough trail. It is 4,000 foot incline, but it's not a straight 4,000 foot incline. It's up and down, up and down. So you're going 800 feet up, 800 feet down, 800 feet up, 800 feet down. And so it's a tough trail. And which was interesting in the fact that it was my husband who walks daily for his job that got sick. And I don't necessarily believe he got heat exhaustion because we had the water filtration systems. We had all of the stuff that we need. I think he got a bug. And honestly, that's what the EMTs thought as well. And so he started puking. And so we were at that crossroads where I was like, do we still keep going or do we go back to the trailhead? This is my friend Angie's lifelong dream for the last 5 years. So I'm like stuck. So what do I do? So Jeff, my husband, decides that we're going to still keep going because he's adamant he's going. And on this particular trail, it's a 12-mile trail, but that's that's what it says. But I think that's how a crow flies. It's truly a 14 to 15 mile hike. And so you need to be super prepared. And so my husband gets sick. Our intention on the first day was to hike the entire 12 miles and then stay there. We could not do that because he was not doing well. We ended up stopping at the 6 mile mark and camping there. Ended up and met some really cool people. Everybody on that trail was so incredibly cool. We saw wild goats, heard wild pigs, but everybody that we had saw that said that they had hiked that trail before said that day was so hot and humid that it was the hardest time they'd ever hiked that trail. And yeah. And so we ended up hiking 6 mile mark. We stayed at the 6 mile mark. Met a guy actually from Utah where I live. And his friend had just got life flighted earlier that day from the beach at Kalalau Beach. And so we're like, oh, that's kind of intimidating because at this point in time, we're like, oh gosh, people are getting life flighted off this trail. I mean, I knew it was hard, but I didn't think it was that hard in my mind. Probably one of the hardest things I've done in my life, honestly. Yeah. And so we decide we're going to stay at the 6 mile mark, wake up early in the morning and head the rest of the way to the trail, to the beach. The end point of this trail is the beach. And the only way you can get there is either by hiking or by kayaking. And the beach was not open to boats at this time because of it was their winter season. So the only way you could get there was by hiking at this point in time. And so we ended up staying 6 mile mark, woke up early in the next day to head to the beach. My husband was doing really good. He and Angie know I'm terrified of heights. They both know that. And we get to right before Crawler's Ledge and it is nothing but, it's just slick sand, dirt. There's nothing to hold on to. And because when you Google Crawler's Ledge, you've got the mountain, the rock mountain right here, which you can press your hand against. But the part before that It's just loose dirt, and loose sand. Nothing to hold on to. And so this was terrifying me. This was absolutely terrifying me. And I've got my knee brace on, and I've got my hiking poles. Angie's in front of me, Jeff's behind me. We're walking down this path, and I'm just like, I'm gonna just sit on my butt and just slide down this mountain. And there's this little poor root of a tree. Just that was the only thing there. This root of the tree that's like shooting out this way. And I'm just grabbing on it for dear life because I thought I was going down. I thought I was going to slide right into the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
And we got through that point. My husband was doing okay by this time. And then we get to the actual crawler's ledge where we've got people coming this way and we're going this way. And you cannot cross on crawler's ledge. There's no way. So you've got to be diligent about what's going on crawler's ledge. And because like you said before, if you fall, you're pretty much going to die. Or you're going to be severely injured. Because it's probably a 200 to 300 foot drop off right to the ocean.
Yes. Okay.
And so we had some people that were passing us right before crawler's ledge. So you have to maneuver that. And which we did fine. And then we got to crawler's ledge, and I'm probably going so slow just because I'm just like, my heart's racing. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. But one of Angie, she had watched some kind of Netflix something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was some kind of a show that said there's nothing different than a push or a fall, push or a shove, something like push or a shove. Mm. And I was like, and so they were just joking around with me the whole time. So I'm like intimidated. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going slow. My husband's in front of me now at this point in time, and Andrew's behind me. Yeah, but I got through this crawler's ledge. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, crawler's ledge, there's a reason it's called crawlers. It's terrifying. And so we get there, and then Jeff starts feeling really sick again. And so I'm feeling a little bad because Angie's like, she's like wanting to go. And and we just kept having to stop because of Jeff. And so I told Angie just to go ahead of us. And Jeff and I took it slow so that he could feel better. He didn't feel better. We got to, there's a river. I mean, and you're crossing numerous rivers before you get to this. The whole entire path, you're crossing rivers. So you've got to be, I fell in the river, the very first river, I fell in the river. Got blisters all over my toes and lost a toenail. And, which, in the scheme of things, my toenail died. And
but you left a piece of you there, yes.
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 Yeah, and that last river that we ended up crossing, we met some odd person. Very odd. He called himself the North Star. And that's what he called himself, was the North Star. He wanted to know if we wanted to trade backpacks. I had a very nice hiking backpack. He had a little school backpack. And so I had asked Jeff, I was like, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of, I told him no. And then I was like, then he's like, well, do you want me to carry it across the river? And I was, at that point in time, I was like, I'm a little tired. Maybe that'd be a great idea. And Jeff's like, no, do not let him touch your backpack. And he, just a very odd fellow. Very, very odd. There is a community of people that live on this particular trail, but the foliage is so big you can't see them, and they always hike barefoot. And so when these people are barefoot, I'm like, how can you hike barefoot? I'm all about the shoes. Yeah. And he was a very odd person. Got mad at some people for there's a coconut tree, and they were getting coconuts down, and got mad at them for hurting Mother Nature. And so he was just the odd guy. So as soon as he left us for a second, I was like, Jeff, I feel uncomfortable. I want to leave right now. And so we ended up going. It was probably a quarter of a mile left. We got to the campsite where Angie was. And Jeff still felt really horrible. He ended up getting into his hammock and just pretty much slept for the rest of the night. Well, Angie and I just went and explored everything. So that guy, the North Star, ended up finding our camp spot. And he talked to the other two people. We have a couple, Austin and Benji, that came through the next day, and they were young and they're fit, and so they made it the whole way that day. And they're also partners. And the North Star did not like the fact that they were male partners.
Oh yes.
And they got a lecture, and it was just the weirdest thing ever. But with that said, the next day is where all of the real adventure starts. We're heading out, and I'm just like, Jeff, I don't think that we're going to be able to carry both of our backpacks out because he's still sick, and my knee now is just kind of like it's not sore, but it's tired. It's just like it's really tired. And I figured, we can hike back out if we share the weight of one backpack. And so I was like, I need that North Star dude to come back so I can give him one of our backpacks. I was just like, I'm going to give him a backpack. And so I don't know if he was listening in the trees or what, because all of a sudden, magically, he was there. Right when I said that.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he was there, and so I told him that I wanted to give him a backpack. And he was like, I don't know, why do you want to do that? That's weird. And initially, he was not going to take one of our backpacks. And whatever you pack in, you have to pack out, which is that's normal when you're hiking, when you're in the mountains. Yeah. That's what you do. Yeah. And so initially, he didn't want to take any of our stuff. And then I was like, you need to decide because we have to leave. And this was probably a 10 to 15 minute conversation. And so finally, I gave him to the count of 10 to decide if he was going to take, like a little kid. I was like, I counted to 10 so he could tell me yes or no what he was going to do. Ended up taking Jeff's backpack, which I'm super grateful he did. Honestly, I'm super grateful because I don't think that we could physically have taken out the backpack because it was 25. Both of our backpacks were 25 pounds, and So then we gave him a lot of our backpacking stuff as well. That was in like food and whatnot. And he wouldn't keep some of the food because he's like, it doesn't give me good vibes. So that was all what he was all about. He's like, this doesn't give me good vibes. You need to take this back. This doesn't give me good vibes. So we ended up calling him the good bad vibes dude. And so he took Jeff's backpack. So Angie, myself, and I start back on the trail to go back to the trailhead. We are intending, you have no service there. Angie had a Garmin that she paid for that has like an emergency SOS system. And mind you, there are helipads along this entire trail. After you pass the 6 mile mark, there's like 3 or 4 helipads. And I mean, there's a reason there is helipads there. And so we start heading back, and Aston and Benji are going to walk probably an hour to 2 hours behind us because they wanted to explore the beach. And we start at this particular, in Kauai, there's like a wet side and a dry side. And this particular hike hits both sides. So it's like a desert and it's also rainy. And so when you start hiking up out of the beach, it's all desert. So you're kind of like, it looks like you're in honestly, it looked like I was in Utah, in the desert, southern Utah. So we start hiking up and we've got the one backpack. Jeff decides he's going to carry it initially. And we start hiking back up and the sun's beating on us and Jeff's just like, I can't do it. Well, actually, he didn't say he couldn't do it. I watched him and I was like, he's not going to make it. He's absolutely not going to make it out 12 miles in one day to be to the trailhead when we needed to be at the trailhead, because that's when our ride was picking us up.
Yep.
And so we ended up getting up to the top of the desert hill, and I sent Angie up in front of us because I was like, Jeff is going to fall off this mountain. I don't want him to go back on Crawler's Ledge because he was delirious enough that he would have probably fallen off.
Yeah.
And so I made the call, which, to send Angie ahead to activate her SOS. And so she got to the 8 mile mark where the first helipad was on the way back. Yep. And Jeff and I just we took it super slow, and we ended up, which I'm super grateful that Angie had that SOS system.
Yeah. We
get to the helipad, and Jeff's just delirious. He's just not doing well. And it wasn't that he was dehydrated or anything like that, because he was just throwing up everything that he had. And it's because we had all of the water filtration systems. There's numerous rivers there. And so we knew what we were doing. We hike and camp and stuff like that in Utah. And so we have to sit and wait probably for about 45, 50 minutes while the helicopters decide, like, if it's Lifelight, if they're coming, or if it's not Lifelight, then who else is coming? And because we weren't in dire need, and we just knew that we couldn't make it back. And so we got to the helipad, we waited, they decided they were going to send air rescue from the fire department out. And then Austin and Benji ended up catching up to us as well. So we're all there. I'm super grateful Austin and Benji were there so they could hike back out with Angie. And I was at that debate. I was like, do I go with my husband? Do I go with Angie? I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I truly don't believe I could have made it back out in this time frame they did, with how tired and kind of achy my legs were. I could have made it back out, but I would have needed another day. I would have needed to stay at the 6 mile mark again. So I made the call to go with my husband. And, which I actually think I made the right call. If Austin and Benji weren't there, then I would have walked out with, Angie. But yeah, so the air rescue came and they picked Jeff up, and they decided, and they saw that I had a brace on. I've always worn my leg brace ever since I had my ACL surgery. I got cleared to do whatever I want, but I wear my ACL brace just more of precaution. They were not nice at all, because they were like, why are you hiking with a bad knee? And then they looked at Jeff and he's like, not nice to us at all. They told us that we had to leave our backpack. Mind you, we've already left one backpack with the North Star. Yeah. And, $2,000 to $3,000 worth of backpacking equipment. And we've left one backpack with the North Star. And when the air rescue came, they said we have to leave our backpack. My backpack with the rest of our backpacking equipment.
Really?
And so with the air rescue, like the helicopter, it was open doors. There was the pilot, the co-pilot, a guy back here, and one spot right here. And so they could only take one person at a time. So they took Jeff and went and dropped him off at the airport. That's actually where they dropped him off. There was an ambulance there waiting for him. Yeah. And then they came back to get me. And so I could, and you couldn't take anything on the airplane. Luckily, I had my rain gear that had pockets that zipped, so I just shoved as much stuff as I could in my pockets and zipped them up. And then Austin and Benji and Angie took what they could with what weight they felt like they could actually take back. Yeah. And so they came back and got me, and one of my things was to ride in a helicopter on my bucket list, and I got to ride in a helicopter on not intentionally, but I sure did.
Yeah, that's good.
So, but yeah, so then we got back to I got to the ambulance with Jeff, and he they didn't give him an IV or anything like that. I was super surprised. They thought that we both got, because my stomach started hurting that morning as well, so they thought that we probably got some kind of virus of some sort on the trail.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but, we ended up going back to where we were staying, and he slept probably for a day and a half, and I was not ever near sick like he was. I was just more, I know when he had left on the helicopter, I think I was just trying to be strong for him. As soon as he left, I just started crying. I was like, It was pretty intense. It was really intense. And it was just a lot of emotions, because you're like, what in the world is going on? But yeah, so that was my experience in Kauai. And then what was funny is a couple days later, the night before we were leaving Kauai, we saw the North Star with Jeff's backpack. He had climbed off the mountain I don't know why he was down in Hanalei Bay. I don't know, but that's where the closest city is to that trailhead. And we saw the North Star in the city, so it was kind of funny. There you go. That's
amazing. Well, I feel like I was there with you now, except for all the horrible, scary parts, where I'd probably be like, you guys go ahead. I will be fine right here. I'll wait for you. But yeah, that's amazing. And like I said, watching some YouTube videos after we talked the first time, my heart was pounding. I'm like, oh my gosh, Kathy is my new superhero. So, wow. Okay, so it's amazing. Very good. I love the story. It's great. Yeah. So telling a good story, that would tell me that you're probably a pretty good author.
Oh, why? Thank you.
Segue. This segue brought to you by Living the Next Chapter. You are excellent at telling the story and helping us see it. Now, you've written many things, but your new book is coming out. You showed it to me earlier. You want to flash that again? Look at this.
There you go.
The Warrior Within.
So it's Unleashed.
Amazing.
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
This is my personal book. It's a memoir of my life, which is it's hard because of how vulnerable I had to be, and seeing people see a side of me that I have kept hidden for so long. Okay. And then it's also a journal and a workbook. And so my intention is just if it helps one person out there. If it helps one person out there that's gone through some of the stuff that I've gone through, then that's what's most important for me.
So when I've talked to other authors that have written something deeply personal along these lines, I like to ask the question, is this book written as a way of capturing your thoughts, and it's written more towards yourself? Or is it written towards an audience? Or is it a combination of the two? Who did you have in mind when you sat down and said, this is something I want to create?
No, that's a great question. Initially, it was more for myself, for my healing, because of some of the stuff I've gone through. And it talks about living in a very, very volatile household with my parents being yelling, verbal abuse, some physical abuse. And so initially it was trying to heal my inner child. As far as like not knowing how to love myself and whatnot, and going on this this journey of self-discovery to learn how to love myself, because that was really, really difficult for me for a long time. Really difficult. So that was initially the first was written to me. And then I realized, there's a lot of people hurting out there. Mm-hmm. And if my words can help one person, then, so it's both. To answer your question, it's both.
Okay. As I'm reading the book, then, you're looking to talk to people and help them through some things, I guess, more focused on the past, then? Like trying to break down some of those walls that maybe we've built up to protect ourselves? Is that kind of what you're thinking of? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the chapters is about forgiveness, forgiving others, because a lot of times people get stuck in blaming other people for their life and not understanding where that person was coming from. And so one of them is about forgiveness. One of them is about, one chapter is about community. Another chapter is about, it's okay to be you and it's okay not to fit in. And so it's kind of, it's basically going to dive in my past to help people with their past to be able to overcome those hurtful things in their lives that has blocked them from development for their future.
So I'll put a statement out, Kathy, and you tell me whether or not you agree or disagree. Would you say that hurt people can hurt people?
It's actually in my book.
No, come on.
Yeah. It
really?
is.
Oh, so that was just, okay. I heard somebody say that many, many years ago. As you're talking, it's in my head. So hurt people who have been hurt can hurt other people. How do you respond to that then?
I absolutely 100% agree with that. And that is actually, those words are in my book.
Whoa.
And one of the reasons, and just a little snippet, is my dad was very angry. He didn't really know how to love people, but he's also been through a lot of stuff that is not necessarily good for him. And so he closed himself off and he got hurt too. And that's where a lot of his anger and bitterness came from. But, he didn't know that. He didn't know any different. And a lot of people that are hurt, they don't know what they're doing to others, honestly. They don't know what they're doing to others because a lot of times it's unintentional.
Yeah, and coming from a place of hurt, that'd be the last thing that they'd want to put on someone else because they're hurting themselves, right? And have they known that their actions, their non-action, whatever that is, was hurting the people around them, they would stop probably immediately because there's no way that I want you to feel the way I'm feeling, but I can't tell you how I'm feeling, right. But you're seeing my feelings, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I ended up, I wanted my dad to read my book because there is a chapter about it.
Okay.
And then, so he read my book and he's 82 years old. I'm his caregiver. And I wanted to make sure that if I was going to publish this book, there's stuff about him that I wanted him to be aware that was going to be out in public eye. And it was interesting because after he read it, and he was teary-eyed and whatnot. And he's like, I had no idea you felt that way.
Wow.
No idea. Wow. And so it's awesome to see us come full circle. And it's not that we ever had a bad relationship. It's just the fact that it was a very volatile household here, being a child.
Okay. Now that you've mentioned that the book is written not just for yourself personally, but also for an audience, who is your audience then for the book?
So the audience that I'm targeting are mostly women, but it could totally be men as well, but that are dealing with depression, anxiety, or self-love issues, as far as they don't know how to really truly love themselves, and they don't know how to find joy in their lives. And so they're just, life is kind of knocked them down and they don't know how to get back up.
Or they're on a cliff and they're stuck and they need a helicopter to come save them. Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, that sounds familiar. I've heard that before. So, okay, where does anxiety start? Kathy, what do you think?
I think it's different from everyone. For me, in my life, I lived with a very, very depressed mother and then a very angry father. So for me, I believe that, I know you asked me about anxiety, but I'm going to get to that in 1 second. For me, it's hereditary. I saw exactly how my mom and my father acted as far as depressed. And I'm sure that there's a lot of things back in their genetic history that has made that who they were, which, you know, one of my goals in life is to break the curse of depression in my family gene line. And, so because I see it, I see the people around me, and I think that there's a lot of healing when one person heals, other people heal. And I 100% believe that. Just like hurt people, I think when one person heals, other people around them heal. But part of the reason that people get anxious or with anxiety, this is my opinion. It's because they're trying to be too perfect. They're trying to be everything to everybody. They're trying to live the life that, not necessarily, I mean, they can live their life, but as far as me, what I did is I tried to be a people pleaser. I absolutely tried to please everybody else, which made me not love myself. It made me get anxiety because I wasn't taking care of me first. And in order to love other people, you have to love yourself first. You absolutely have to.
That's a great point. That's really good. Yeah, because if you're completely focused 100% of your time on everyone else and how they respond to you, there's no time for you, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, and then I love the idea of breaking that legacy of depression and anxiety. Like, you don't really realize how this carries forward, right? You get, like, they always talk about the hindsight and the rearview mirror and how everything looks clear behind you and nothing really, you don't really understand tomorrow. But if you can grasp this, and I hope people reading your book will understand and apply what you're sharing, because it can transform your future then.
Yeah, that's one of my goals in life is, you know, it's great to feel behind, but what about going forward? And because I see it in there's probably other things we can talk about, but I've seen depression in my kids, and I was like, I don't necessarily think that they had a bad childhood by any means. I think part of it is hereditary. I absolutely do. And I want to do anything and everything in my power to help them be able to heal that and go forward with just with a self-love kind of attitude. A lot of people don't love themselves. More people than not do not love themselves and do not find joy in life.
I find the idea of loving yourself, but also respecting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well, right? People don't respect themselves. Mm-hmm. They don't, like, you look back, like you're talking about this journey that you've been on, but people don't seem to respect the fact that we might not be perfect. We all know we're not perfect. We all know all of our weaknesses and all of the things that we hide from people so that we appear to be perfect. We're very aware for some people maybe not, aware of the things that are not our best moments, but we feel like we're at least moving forward, right? And when you talk about kids, once you bring a family into it, your future life, your children, all you want for them to do is to grow up and be happy and to have less pain than you've ever had, and, you know, and have a wider path. Let's go back to the Crawler's Ledge, a wider path than you've had in life, right? You want to make it as comfortable and easy for them as possible. And when you start to see them struggle and withdraw or pull back or have bouts of depression and live their anxiety, you're just like, what? Where did this come from? I thought everything was so much easier than it was for me. I thought we were going down an easier path, but it's not, you can't make everything better for everybody, I guess, is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Because there's a time in everybody's life where, you know, they've got to quit blaming others. And they need to take responsibility for themselves and their happiness. And wherever that comes from, as far as, well, I know for me, I used to blame others. I used to blame my ex-husband for my happiness. When we were married together, I used to blame my parents for having a really horrible not horrible, but a very difficult childhood for my happiness. And I didn't realize that to be happy, it was all 100% my choice. 100%. It is nobody else's choice. And so I had to take that responsibility upon myself to change. And other people are lost, I think, in the blame game. I was there. I was absolutely there. But and there's tons of people that are still blaming others for their lot in life. Where, honestly, just pick up the pieces and keep going. You can't do anything about it. Just pick up the pieces and just go on a different path. There you go.
We're talking to Kathy White for Unleash the Warrior Within, a great new book that's coming out June 25th on Amazon, right? So, Kathy, you finished writing the book, you're done, you shut the laptop, you put the pen down, you're finished. You're all done. So our podcast is living the next chapter. So now the book is done, and now it's time to start promoting it and talking about it and sharing it with people. But in a way, as a creative person, I like music, so I create music. You're never really done. Like, the book is done, printed and in your hand, but is it really ever done? Like, are you finished now and you're at the top of the mountain? You got to the end of the trail, you're finished, everything's happy roses, or what?
No, I don't think you're ever done. I agree with that statement. I absolutely agree with that. I think that there's so many people hurting right now, especially with everything that's going on in the last few years. And my goal is just to reach people to help them know that they're loved and that they're worth it and that they're enough. And, and however that looks, whether that's me doing a book tour, whether that's my coaching programs, whether that's just me going to coffee with somebody, doing a Facebook Live, I just want people to know that they're loved, because I just know how much negativity is going on in the world, and I want to be a light in people's
Excellent.
lives.
So, not taking anything away from the book, let's talk a little bit about your coaching. So, what is your goal in being a coach? How do you envision yourself helping people?
So through my programs, I actually I do have some coaching programs as well, and I also have a virtual reality company, which we're going to talk about on another.
Now I want to talk. Yeah, we have got to talk about it sometime for sure. I'm really curious about that.
So we'll talk about that on another podcast. But so as far as my coaching programs go, it goes along. One of the coaching programs goes exactly along with the book. And, it's me holding your hand to go along and help you overcome a lot of these things. It's like, for me, I went to counseling, and counseling didn't help me. And so there's other people counseling absolutely helps them. For me, it didn't help me. And so that's part of the reason I want to be able to do this for other people. And then the other one, so I have the coaching program for like Unleash the Warrior Within, and then another coaching program that just goes a little deeper into mindset, because mindset is key on everything. And then another coaching program on leadership. I have 25 plus years in leadership experience, in management experience, and I love to share my knowledge.
Excellent. You come with so many different avenues that we can go down. I love it, Kathy. And we definitely have to get together for part 2 with the virtual reality. Can I say it? Virtual reality part that your company does. We'll put links in there so people can do some pre-investigation, but I'd love to promote that as well. So I'm curious about that whole space, and to hear somebody that's in there and building something in the virtual world, that's exciting. And I've been sharing your stuff out to one of my friends who has a podcast along those lines, and trying to make a connection for you two as well, because he would love to pick away at what you're working at, and he'd be very curious about this. So I'm promoting you already, Kathy.
Awesome.
So
Thank you. I
really good.
That.
So I want to wrap up so you're not too late, because you got a lot of stuff going on. You're a busy person. What is the best way, Kathy, for people to connect with you about your coaching, about the book? If they ever want to go on a long hike with somebody, how can people reach out and connect with you, Kathy?
So my website is coachkathywhite.com. And then on all social media platforms except LinkedIn, it's Coach Kathy White as well. And LinkedIn is Kathy White, but I'll share the link with you, because there's lots of Kathy Whites.
Yes. But there's only one with the stories that I've heard today. And like I said, one thing I can attest to is you've actually survived them because you're right there in front of me. So congratulations on you did it. You did it. Like, okay, so before we close off, is there any other adventures coming up that might require a helicopter at all?
Well, one of the adventures, I did find out my husband has never been river rafting, which seems so odd to me because he's a very easy, adventurous person as well. So we might be going up to Jackson's Hole to go river rafting. I'm not sure, but I've done that before. The other thing that I really want to do is down in Kanab, Utah. You'll have to Google this. It's Kanab. They have, so in southern Utah, we have all of the red rock. It's in all of the national parks and whatnot. But in Kanab, Utah, they have a red rock mountain that they've put metal ladders on it. Like metal ladder rings. Yeah. And I really want to go up the ladder. It's probably like 300, 400 feet up the side of the mountain.
So, Kathy, we live here in Canada, near Buffalo, Niagara Falls. You want an adventure, you need to come up here.
Okay.
We'll show you an adventure. My stories aren't as great as yours, but I have been chased by a moose. How about that?
That is awesome. That is really cool.
When I was in high school, I was chased by a moose, and the thing was huge. So, so there is a very likely chance if you come to Canada, you will meet a beaver, a moose, or any of those great things.
I would. I didn't tell you. One of the chapters is about me being in the middle of a bison stampede. So there you go.
Okay, so that one, for that story, you have to buy the book. You definitely have to buy it. That's a good hook. That's how you do a hook, Kathy. That was really well done. Really good. Okay, so Kathy White, Unleash the Warrior Within. It's a new book. It's coming out. Everyone needs to go grab this. And you need a coach in your life. You need somebody that can help you and work through some of the things that you are dealing with or you want to grow past. Coach Kathy White. It's right here in Living the Next Chapter. Hi guys, this is Dave from Living the Next Chapter, a podcast designed to connect authors and audiences. We're always on the lookout for our next interview. If you're an author, a publisher, and you have a book, whether you're just starting, whether you're halfway through writing, or it's all done and you want to tell the world, that's why we're here at Living the Next Chapter. Get in touch with us through livingthenextchapter.com, contact us, and let's set up some time together to discuss your book, to discuss your project, and how we can get you on the show. My name is Dave, and I would love to speak to you. So go to livingthenextchapter.com, and let's get over there together and discuss all the great things that you're up to as an author, as a publisher, and let's grow your audience together. Join us on livingthenextchapter.com for great authors and an audience that's eager to hear about what you're up to as an author and a publisher. Contact us today and let's get your book out in front of others. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.